I'm excited because my dear friend Sammy from Frank's Deli in Sydney is joining me today to make something from her motherland. What are you making?
Yes. So this is a Polish dish called pierogi, and if you've had it before, you know it's super warming and delicious. And the first thing we need to do is get started on the dough. So I've got some plain flour here, so I'm going to actually sift that in to this bowl. And Juzzy, I'm going to get your help on making the filling.
Okay.
So I've got some potatoes there, and the potatoes have just been boiled in their skins in the water until they're soft. So a knife that pierces all the way through. I think a floury potato is better than a sort of waxy potato.
Okay.
And you can leave the skins on really when you're ricing them, but if you do want to peel the skins off, you absolutely can do that as well.
I love a ricer. When I'm making gnocchi, I bring this out.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And it's important to do it while the potatoes are still hot, so that's why we had it covered there.
Right. Is there different types of fillings for this, or it's really the classic way is with the potato?
It is almost endless the amount of fillings that you can have.
Yeah.
You can do like a veal mince meat in there, and they're my favourite. But this one I think is kind of probably the most eaten one. And we actually have them on Christmas, on Easter, because it's meat-free.
So good. So I'm adding some white pepper, you prefer?
Yeah, lots of cracked white pepper. So white pepper is really important in Polish cooking. We don't really use black pepper. And then to the filling, you're going to also add a good amount of salt.
Okay.
And we've also got some quark cheese. So have you ever used quark cheese before?
I'm going to have another taste. It's been a while. I noticed that you can get this in your supermarket now.
Yes, so it's pretty available in most supermarkets. Otherwise, if you go to like a European-style deli, you should be able to find it there.
Oh, wow.
And it's a little bit more sour. It's got that kind of farmy flavour.
So we just mix it together?
Mix it all together. You can use cottage cheese as a replacement. You could even use sour cream if you wanted to. But quark really has that creaminess and the flavour that you want.
All right, I'm onto it.
I'm going to make a little well in the middle, and we're going to start mixing this into the bowl.
Yep.
I've got warm water, and this just gives you a really smooth sort of batter.
Right.
And then I'm going to add in some softened butter, and then I've got 2 egg yolks. So I'm just going to work this until it comes into a bit more of a dough ball.
Okay. And I've mixed that. I'm going to have a taste of this just to make sure the seasoning's right, because you don't want to make all your dumplings and then realise you need more salt.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that is
It's good, isn't it? Yeah.
It's like the best mashed potato.
Okay, so I'm going to do as the Polish grandmas do, take off the jewellery and just turn this out onto the board, and I'm going to knead it together.
Okay. Well, it looks like a nice dough.
So because of the butter, it's kind of got that nice sort of flakiness to it as well. This is exactly how my grandmother did it.
Yeah.
So this is her recipe.
There's nothing better than tasting something your grandmother would cook for you.
Absolutely.
So good. So you're going to work that. We're going to wrap it in some cling film and it has to rest. How long are we going to rest it for?
Look, at least 10 minutes if you can manage it, but if you can do a little bit more, it just relaxes the dough, but it's quite soft and malleable, so it'll be ready soon.
Great.
Now, Juzzy, we've got the dough made and resting, and you've made the beautiful filling.
Yes.
Now for the sauce. Polish people live in a very cold climate, and this dish is perfect for warming you up. So the sauce is equally warming. We've got some butter here, and I'm going to just pop it into a cold pan. Now, which side of butter do you think I'm using?
Usually, I would actually go the bigger side than you.
It's the bigger side of butter.
You are going to use all that?
Yeah, because you know what? We're going to make a lot of sauce, a lot of dumplings. We're all going to enjoy it for many days to come.
It's a buttery sauce.
It is a buttery sauce. So I'm going to pop that into a cold pan, and it can start melting away.
Okay.
And now you know what this is, don't you?
Let me have a smell of it. Do you know what that reminds me of? Your amazing deli, Frank's Deli in Sydney. So good. And you have this in a sandwich.
Breakfast sandwich, yeah.
It's the best.
So this is probably one of my favourite ingredients growing up. It's a Polish speck. It's so flavoursome, it's fatty, it's delicious. And then the final ingredient is some spring onions. You can use regular onion as well, but I quite like the colour that the spring onions give, so I'll get you to slice that up.
Yeah.
So the speck is going to get a little bit crispy, but not too crispy. It's kind of just sort of soft and melt in your mouth.
And because it's not too hot, that pan, that fat's going to render out and flavour the butter even more.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Very nice. All right, we'll put these together, let them fry off. This delicious sauce with dumplings. This is my ideal winter dish. It's going to be so good.
Now, Juzzy, the sauce is finished, so we can just let it sit there nice and warm.
Okay.
And the dough's come out of the fridge and it's actually quite nice and soft.
Okay, so that's what we're after.
It's ready to roll out. So we're going to just cut off a piece of this and we'll just roll it off in sections. And I'm going to keep the Glad wrap just to keep it nice and moist. Exactly, yeah. Okay, so can I get a little bit of flour on the board, please?
Yes.
And I'm just going to shape this out a little bit. And we've actually got a cutter here, but traditionally at home we would use a glass to cut it, but you've got a fancy cutter here, which I'll allow. So you want to roll the dough out. It doesn't have to be really, really thin.
Yes.
But just thin enough so that, you know, it doesn't take forever to cook.
Yeah.
And because there's butter in here, it can be a little bit sticky.
That is a very nice dough, isn't it?
Yeah, and it came together really quickly. It doesn't take too long to rest it.
So I guess a lot of people would be like me, not really knowing what Polish food is. Like, how would you explain what Polish food is?
I think it's really homely and it is such a cold climate. I mean, it's cold for nearly most of the year, I would say. Pierogi plays such a big part in the home kitchen and people do still make them from scratch. And this is something that we actually sell at the deli. My auntie hand makes them for us. So
does she? I've never seen them in the deli.
Well, because we always sell out.
That's why you want to keep it on the low down.
On the low down, yeah. But look, it's very easy to make. So I'm just going to cut out a whole bunch of these.
Okay.
And then we've got the filling that we made earlier.
Right. Now, how much of the filling would you like? About that much?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, this one?
Yep.
In the centre. There we go.
And I've just got a touch of water here on the outside. And then what you can do is just roll it over. I always do it in my hand.
Yeah.
So then you just pinch from the top and then you go around one side, getting all the air out.
Yep.
There's a little bit of filling that comes out like that. It's totally fine. Just wipe it off. And then go around and pinch the other side.
Okay.
And then you just want to make sure you press down and seal. And actually, Juzzy, if you pass me a fork, I'll show you how I loved doing it as a child.
Okay.
So you then use the fork to crimp the edges.
Look how perfect that is. Love
And
it.
this is very traditional.
Yeah.
So let's finish off a whole bunch more
Yes.
and then we'll boil them up and start to eat.
It's very nice.
Now, the pierogi have risen to the top, which means they're ready.
Okay.
And so far we have 100% success rate. None have burst.
Phew. I was waiting for you to say, that's the one you made, Juzzy.
So you can see they're kind of nice and floppy. And I've got the sauce here, which I've just turned back on to warm it up.
Okay.
And we're going to place the pierogi into the sauce.
Do you know, if people say, what's your favourite ingredients? Butter, your cheese, potatoes,
Bacon.
speck.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, all the things I love in one little dish. It's so good.
Okay, so you just want to coat the pierogi in this little buttery sauce. And now we're going to
Smells good.
plate them up.
I love this dish that you've got here. Old school.
Very old school Polish style.
Polish style, yeah.
Polish people do a lot of beautiful ceramics and
Do
things
they?
like that, yeah.
You actually went over there too.
I did. I've been going many times ever since I was a little girl. So it's funny, whenever you're kind of landing in the aeroplane, it really feels like coming home.
Yeah.
There's something about it. Last one.
Okay.
So you can see they're quite soft, sort of cloudy, billowy little things.
Yeah.
A little bit of extra sauce on top.
Beautiful.
Guess what, Juzzy?
I've got a knife and fork ready to go.
We can dig in.
I'm going to cut to this one. Oh, look at that fluffy centre. So good.
I want to see your reaction. Now you're Polish. You're officially Polish.
I like any type of dumpling, but when it's served with my favourite ingredients, it's like the best thing ever. And you were saying before, you need about 8 per person for a portion. I think I'm going to need 16.
I know.
They're that good.
It gets like that. You can make them and freeze them.
What?
Yep.
Even better. So good, Sammy. Thank you, my darling girl. Mwah. Delicious, delicious, delicious.
Let's have more.
Okay.